Julie, want to call the roll?
Sure. Mr. Dudek?
Here.
Mr. Manfres?
Here.
Ms. Reedy?
Here.
Mr. Madonio?
Here.
Mr. Hummel?
Here.
Ms. Kane?
Here.
Mr. Sodel?
Here.
Have you gotten a chance to look at the minutes from the last meeting? Any? Changes or additions?
I move to accept the minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We don't have any new business? The next item is old business. The reason that we asked you to come today is, and I'll be frank, we don't like where those HVAC units are. You can see them. And no, yeah, that's fine. We had a discussion with people that are putting air conditioning units in the Etna House, and they came in and we talked, and we made some recommendations. They came back again and made the adjustments, because if you look, you can see them from the street. And I'm not sure if I wasn't on the board then. I'm not sure if there were places where they could be moved to, where it couldn't be seen from street view. But that is something we've been trying to do, is to try to keep them hidden if we can.
Sure. Can you guys hear me, or should I move the mic a little closer?
Move the mic a little bit closer,
Okay.
if you would, please.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, last time I was here, we didn't have a mic, so this is better. We did discuss back a couple years ago the rooftop units as being a one-for-one replacement with this board. And so the board had already approved that they'd be placed in the exact same spots as the old units. And if you look at historical imagery, the units are in the exact same spot and they look the exact same from between 2019 and now. They're just new units. So while it's theoretically possible to do that, it would have added a lot of expense for the county, which they didn't have money for, to change the ductwork. So this was a one-for-one replacement. I did bring CRS Metalworks. They're the contractor who did the work. There was no ductwork involved with the project because I brought some photos too. I can pass them around. Some photos that were taken from the same angles from 2019 and 2014, and I see no perceptible difference in them. They're the exact same look because it was a one-for-one replacement. Now, the slate, we also discussed that last time around, but I believe Jeff from Durable Slate is here, and we can talk about the slates too just while we're here. But just going over this particular issue, we did have approval from this board to do a one-for-one HVAC replacement. You can see them from the street, but they always were visible from the street, at least as of the last iteration.
Well, everything I'm reading from minutes and stuff, you don't even talk about HVAC other than saying that you got approved for it by the county.
I think we have minutes from Julie.
Most of this is not going to be seen. Yeah, this one they did say. But they are saying.
Yeah. Well, you did say you weren't going to see them. We weren't going to see them, but yet we are seeing them.
Yeah, we did have in the minutes from Julie that the one-for-one replacement was approved. We're replacing the slate in like kind, and I also have the slater here to discuss that.
The slate's not the issue.
Okay.
The HVAC units are the issue that
Sir, you
are
were on this-
disturbing to us.
You weren't on this
Because,
board at that time. and it
I
was-
understand
This
that.
board approved it already.
It says they,
Quick question, the like kind, are they the same size units?
you said, in the minutes, it says the top of the roofs aren't visible from the street, and the HVA units are on top of the roof. Most of these components aren't visible from the street.
They aren't, most of them. There's quite a few units on that roof. I don't know if you've ever been up there, but there's, 6 or 7 probably. And there's a lot of old ductwork in that building. So it's sort of, if you did if you redid all the HVAC and did all new dampers and all new ducts, the cost would have been inordinately higher to do. So the county requested that they just be replaced in like kind, and that's what we did. I don't know, Mike, if you have anything to add to that.
May I, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I'm Mike Tinlin, I'm one of your county commissioners. Although I'm new, I watched this project, I've been on the roof. I have pictures from, and I'm sure you folks do too, from 2019 to 2024. And they're taken from the same location across the front of the courthouse. The only change that I see is that they're not rusted and they're lighter because they're new, so you can see them. But you really have to look to see them. OSHA's made us put a, what do you call that, a safety barrier railing around it. I'm not sure where this all just of a sudden came. I've read all the minutes from the meetings for the last 4 years. And the one I have in front of me is okaying what we did with the HVAC, but it is talking about gutters and different flashings and things that show. We're obviously not trying to cause an issue or slide something in front of you. We're not doing that. It's the same thing. Now, when I saw the rails go up, I said, oh boy. Because I noticed it. Now, do we paint it a red brick so it matches and you can't see it? I'll go over and do it myself. We're trying to take care of that block with the money that we have in the county. We've got the new awnings up. They're gonna come down when we do some other things on the roofs, but we're trying to make it look nice. I'm a big stickler to pride. If you've been down at the administration building, in the last year, we got a lot done. So I guess my point is why did this come up, who upset who? And with the pictures that I have here, 2019 and 2024, taken from pretty much the same location, the only difference I see is the coloration, because they are new. So, you know, we're here to do whatever we have to. I hope you understand the county is not looking for a problem or create an issue for you guys. I sure as heck don't want that. But we're here to make the building nice. I'm not gonna let anything happen to it to make it look crazy. Anyone have any questions that I can answer?
Mr. Tinlin, part of our charge here is to keep buildings or make buildings more compatible with their original construction status. So in our bylaws, I think any changes of equipment or something that could be visible should go before our board. And again, we are not trying to create a problem here either. But in the letter, it says it's not going to be visible. You made your points well. I don't know where we're going to go from here, but
Okay.
it might be nice to possibly put a screen around there so didn't look like an HVAC unit, it looked more like some of the protruding chimneys up there. It's just my thought.
Eric, let me ask you a question. When you owned that building, were there HVAC units on the roof?
No.
So all of those HVAC units, we dropped the ball because the county has put all those units up there since you've owned it, and they're visible.
And again, before your
The
tenure,
building wasn't air conditioned until you bought it. So all of the units that are up there have been put up there under the county's ownership. And the county never came before us, and we never said anything, and now they're there.
Well, the two units, Mr. Manfred, that we're discussing were there. They're replacements. And the reason-
Replacements of units that the county put up
Okay,
there.
well, I wasn't here, so.
That's what I'm saying. Those units were put up on the roof by the county. So
Well,
we should have had input before they were put up there the first time. And our comments would have been to move them away from the front of the building to the back of the roof where they're not visible standing on the lawn in front of the courthouse looking at that building. Which is, as Lou said, for Etna House, they came and they had a whole string of units that were visible. And we had them move them to the back of the roof so that they're not visible. They're there, but they're not visible. Had 15 years ago or whenever they were installed, we would have asked that they be moved back. Because the ductwork was all installed when the units were put in.
and.
That's before your time.
I get you. Please don't take this the wrong way. But shouldn't that have been addressed in '22 when we were putting it up there? I appreciate you folks. I know you had a tough job. We didn't add, we replaced. If we need to color or camouflage, I'm good with that. And quite frankly, that's where I'm at with this. So I appreciate you unless anybody has any other questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, it looks like, might have been a semantical thing. Most of the units are completely invisible from the road. There were some very small pieces, you can see of two of them from from the angle by the Parkway and Main Street. But the point is, they've always been visible for quite some time. And it was stated in the meeting minutes that a one-for-one replacement, which it was approved. So, I guess I think Mike said it best. I mean, I think no one's trying to make any enemies here, and there's maybe some things that could be done to make it less obvious, but they do look brand new and they look nice and shiny. So that might be what was maybe the sun caught somebody's eye. One thing I will note is that hood vent that was over there by the edge that was awfully ugly is no longer there. So that did get taken away because it was no longer in use. So we actually improved the sight line. You could argue it's actually much nicer than it was, because it looked like it was an ugly hood vent, so that's no longer there. I guess, does anyone have any other discussion on this while I'm up on this, while we're here talking about these units, or, I don't think the solutions that are, Mike suggested are unreasonable, just to, in my mind, you don't see those unless you're trying to see them. It's not like you're like, oh my gosh. In my opinion, the building looks amazing. It's going to look phenomenal when that slate gets put on there too. The slate is in horrible condition because it is well over 100 years old, 130 years old maybe or so, and it's going to look dynamite. This building is going to be dynamite when that slate gets put on there.
Well, I personally would like to see if there are some alternatives you can come up with to screen those with something, maybe not just individually, but maybe take the two units that are to the north and do a low screen around those Can't do much with the guardrail. I understand the guardrail, you're within 10 feet of the edge, you got to have a guardrail now.
Yeah,
But that-
they were in an unseat, and there were no tie-off points up there either, so anyone maintaining those would have been, obviously in a violation of OSHA.
Right.
Yeah.
Screening would be pretty easy to put right on those rails, it seems to me, which would serve the purpose of camouflaging the units.
We-
Or paint of the units and the railing. The railings show up only because they're nice shiny aluminum, because they were just put up there.
Yeah, they're new.
And maybe some,
What type of screen material, like wood fence material?
well, they make that fence material, I'm sure there's something out there that could be fastened to that and wrapped around, and one of those is L-shaped, and one of them is just straight, as I was out here before here looking at
Yeah,
it again.
that's true.
One of them is straight, which would take care of that, and you couldn't see it from down there, the L-shaped one is.
And as far as I know, I just want to clarify, these are the only two that I believe are in question. Is that correct?
Ask them.
I think there's two to the north and there's multiple ones to the south where the guardrail is. The one unit, the unit that's furthest north, which is the tallest, I think, is that way because it sits on a 30-inch or 3-foot high ductwork base. That one,
Yeah, that one's a tall one. That's the one that's the one furthest north, yep.
yeah. Now, that ductwork comes up inside that base and attaches to that unit.
Yeah, we didn't change any ductwork on that.
Yeah, but I'm saying with the change of ductwork, that unit could come down much lower and get fed into the side of the unit rather than into the bottom of the unit. And it would wind up being 2 feet lower than what it is.
Still gonna see it.
Yeah, I don't think that would be, I think that would be a expensive update that you'd still see it anyway. I think that the fencing idea could work and be pretty reasonable. I just worry somebody's gonna say, what the heck is that wood fence doing there? It looks weird on the roof.
I'm talking about material. You know, when you put up a chain link fence, they make a material that you can wrap around in many different colors
fabric.
and fabric, and it's fastened on there in certain ways with clamps or probably even in cable ties to keep it up there. So it wouldn't, I don't think you'd want to match the nice new awnings, but you could make it even green, it wouldn't, but I would say brown would be probably, or paint, like I said, I think that's the max that I think that.
I think once the slate gets put up, if you put a screen around that matches the color of the slate, it'll disappear.
Yeah, it probably would. Actually,
And I would do it out of a plastic material, like a plastic fencing or something that would match the color of the slate, and then it would kind of go away.
sure. One thing about the slate, though, is it's gonna weather over time.
Correct.
obviously.
Well, so will the plastic you put up there. I wouldn't do it out of wood. Wood's going to require maintenance. But I think if there's, if it gets mounted starting on the top of that white base, it only needs to be about 3 feet tall.
Looking at the guardrail from these vantages I have, the guardrail appears taller than the unit, even than that tall unit. So from that vantage from over here, you wouldn't see it.
Kill two birds with one stone, you wouldn't see the railing as much,
even see the railing.
and then you wouldn't see the units.
Right. I think that's a good idea and probably very cost effective and might be, if that's satisfactory, I'm sure the county would be okay with that based on what I think Mike had suggested, painting and doing something to camouflage it. But I guess I wanted to just clarify, there's like 6, 7 units on the roof. I don't think any of them are visible from the alley, or is that also a concern that if they are visible from the alley or something?
Now, the concern is that the main facade of the building is obviously this west facade facing City Hall.
Yes.
So when you stand on the courthouse lawn and you look up, you see 1, 2, 3, 4 projections up above that roof.
I believe you only see two.
You can only see two.
Yeah, I only
from
see
here.
two.
I've been,
I can show you, I have some photos I can pass
Okay.
if you want to see.
You don't see the south ones?
no.
No.
Just a handrail?
Well, you see two units and the same handrails associated with the same two units, but that's it. You don't see 4 or 3, you see 2.
Well, you see the ones on the north.
Here, I'll show you.
This side, but you can't, but if you
That one not there?
That's the hood that we got. That's gone. That's that.
There's enough, there's enough.
The other one is behind it, but that's not visible anymore.
Yeah, I don't think you can see these are just closer views of what's there now.
Right.
Closer view of what happened there. Same thing with this, the close view. And a close view of what was there. But, yeah, it's just, oh, I do have the meeting minutes from last time. Cool. Yeah, so it's just from the angle you're concerned about, the main elevation is these two units that you can see.
Right.
We did bring a slate sample, if the board has time today to take a look at what the slate will look like, or the proposed slate material.
Those are the 2 units we're talking about. They say he took down the gooseneck hood.
Yes.
Yeah,
That dark black object on the roof is gone, to the right of the north HVAC unit.
So we have 2 units only that, from this standpoint here, standing position.
correct. Yeah, if you could do something to hide those a little bit, we'd like that.
I'll sit up there like this.
Yeah. You can stand up there like that. You'll be,
There'll be a traffic jam.
yeah. Till someone knocks you off, okay?
Yeah, I think we can work with that. I can talk to my contact at Portage County, Shannon Kotzman. I can talk to her about that. I would imagine the county might be able to self-perform that, but I think that seems like a reasonable way to improve it, and it will. And I agree with Ted. I think with if it's colored the same as the slate, or if we made it red, but maybe if it's colored the slate color, it would hide it the best, because the vast majority of that steep roof is the slate color, and so it would kind of blend in with that look.
Yeah. And you could just take that to Bob, the city engineer, and have him look at it
For what? Just
for what you're going to do. Once you decide what you want to do, then make sure Bob knows what you're going to do.
It's do we need some kind of approval from the city for a screen for a fabric screen?
Are they gonna need a building permit to do that?
That I don't know. Bob would know that.
Yeah, I'm thinking of it as it's
At this point, because it's,
Do you still have an open permit with the city?
we have a permit approval with the city, yeah, for the work. I don't know if it's, I mean, probably, I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you have a permit that's still active, then you could install under that permit, I would guess.
Okay, we can check with Bob on that.
Call Tiffany. Tiffany's the secretary over there.
Okay,
yeah.
Because Bob's not in the office today or tomorrow.
what's Tiffany's last name, do you know?
Holloway?
Oh, I know her, okay.
Yep.
That way you don't have to come back here. You can just go to him. And then he can just give us an update at the next meeting or whatever.
Okay.
Okay?
we are-
And we're not trying to be difficult. We're just,
Yeah, no, it's a good point. Yeah. Other question I have is we're about to start on a renovation of the interior of the 4th floor. it's in the interior of this building. Would this board have any need to review those plans, or is it only involved with the exterior look of the building from
Just
the
the
outside?
facade.
Seems like you'd have to go to Bob first. You might need building permits, but then he can tell you that, because I'm not sure anybody here will be able to tell you that.
Right. I don't, yeah, he would be able. Congratulations. Mr. Sudel's correct.
Okay, but as far as this board understands, it's outside only.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah,
Unless what you're doing inside changes windows or does something on the exterior, then you don't have to
No,
come to
yeah,
us.
we're gonna keep, it's just, it's to make new office space for some of the employees. The public defender's office is what it's for. But it, yeah, no windows will change, nothing, it will be no appearance from the outside change. Okay.
okay.
Do you wanna, I guess, we were just gonna show you the slate too, so you can see, this is the material.
Sure.
Is,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
yeah, thank you. So this is Jeff, he's with Durable Slate, and, as you know, lead times with Slate are a long time. So we ordered the slate about a year ago, roughly, and, it's coming in this summer. Yeah.
Good morning.
Morning.
Forgive me, first time at the meeting, so remind me of any protocols if I step out of bounds. The slate I hold in my hand is a piece of the slate that will actually be installed on the roof in terms of type and coloring and marking. And I'll walk around so everybody can see this close, and we can leave a sample with the board if you'd like. The only difference is that when they send their samples out, they send them in a standardized pre-cut size. Slates on buildings come in many different shapes and sizes. They don't take the time to cut to what you exactly are going to use when they send a sample, so this is just what they call stock. I also brought a piece of slate similar in color and type that is actually cut to the size of the slate that's going to be installed on the roof, so you can see this is the size of the slate, this is the slate that's going on to the building, what it will look like. So it'll look like this in this shape and size.
Are those both the same material there, or the one in your right hand is real slate?
Oh, yes,
That's real slate.
they
That-
both are, this is
Okay.
real.
Okay,
I could put this on a roof right
I
now.
thought that they had talked originally, my fault here, I thought they had talked about, maybe it was in the wall tops, coping or whatever, that they were gonna use one that looks like it was made out of another material at one time, or is it?
We did discuss it might be synthetic or real.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the option for real slate was chosen by the county.
The slate that's on the roof is, it's commonly referred to as Buckingham slate. It's Virginia Buckingham slate. It's quarried in Buckingham County, Virginia, the only place in the world where this type of slate is quarried. It's, if not the finest, then certainly the second finest quality slate that's quarried in the United States. It has a life expectancy of upwards of 200 years. There's only one quarry currently in operation that produces this kind of slate. So it's very valuable, it has a very long life, and it has a very aesthetic look to it when it's installed onto the roof.
I believe that some of those slate up there had a rounded bottom.
That's true, we call those cut corner. They span approximately 4 inches across the base in the center, and then 2 angles upward on either side, approximately 5 inches. So it kind of forms a V with a flat bottom. And you can see, if you zoom in on the photos close up on the slate, you'll see that there are groupings of rows that are square, and then they are interlaced with groupings of rows that have that cut corner look. Our intention is to maintain the exact same pattern. The order that we made from the quarry, we have a set number coming that are cut square, and we have a set number coming that are going to be pre-cut to that cut corner, so that will save us some time. We don't want to have to do that all by
see
hand.
it.
The chamfers are gonna be pre-cut.
Yes,
Okay. I think it's like every fourth row.
Something like that.
Yeah, I don't have the
something like
exacts,
that. I
but
know
we're going to go exactly off of the photos.
we replaced everything from the main gable south when the building burned.
That's the lighter gray on the back part of
Yes.
the building? Right.
Yeah, on the south, that
Yeah,
lighter
those-
gray on the
those are
south.
Those synthetic shingles, and you matched the pattern at the time?
Yes.
Yeah. The cut corner rows don't look like they're all the same. They look like the lower row is maybe 5 or 6, and then it goes down to 3 or 4, and then, is that correct that they're? If it is.
The spacing's not equal? Is that
No,
what you're saying?
there's like 6 rows of cut corner, and then, looks like the straight cuts are all the same at 3 or 4.
I can't go any closer.
I can enlarge my phone a little bit more than that.
Two square.
And that first row at cut corner where your
And there's
finger
four
is,
cut.
looks like there's 5 or 6. And then there's the square cut.
Looks like there's only 4.
Right.
Then I think there's 4 straight. or 3
More
straight,
there than
4.
there are there.
But your intent is to match what's.
Yes, line for line.
Looks like 4, 3, 4, 3, 4 is kind of what it looks like.
And I assume, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but like you had said, those lighter colored synthetic shingles that are on the back, the south portion of the roof, those were installed at a later date from when the roof was originally installed. Our intent is to match the patterning of the original, because if we're going to be historically accurate, that would be the most accurate, right?
Correct.
Looking at this, that does match.
Okay, good.
4, 3, 4, 3, and up. So that pattern matches that, it's just those are lighter.
Yeah,
Like they haven't.
they've weathered differently because they're not actually genuine slate, they're a
Correct.
synthetic, yeah.
You're gonna tear all of it off and redo everything.
Right. And we did verify that those synthetic do not contain asbestos. That was lab verified, so there isn't any additional risk to tearing those off that we had an initial concern about. That was handled and rectified. The other thing
When did we
is-
do that?
Yeah, I was searching my memory, I can't remember.
25 years ago?
I don't think so.
20?
Was it 25, maybe 20?
90s, yeah.
Late 90s.
Oh, I guess
Yeah, I mean,
it was.
asbestos went away in 72, 74.
Yeah,
There was no asbestos in them.
Right. That was confirmed, that's
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Now, those pinnacles on the corner, these things here.
Yeah, the rounded ones?
No, these on the corner, they're square at the bottom. Are you gonna do anything with them?
Yes.
What are they made out of?
They'll be made out of steel, they'll be cast in steel, painted red.
I don't know. I thought they were, somebody told me once they were made out of zinc, but I'm not sure. But are you gonna replace those, or are they gonna stay?
The specifications that were given to us was that any existing metal that hadn't been replaced a couple years ago, like on the front tower of the building, basically from the south side of the front tower back to the back of the building, any exposed metal was to be replaced with like in kind. Painted red, same color match. The concern at this point was more matching the color of the new metal that has been installed, rather than trying to, you can't match color exactly from what was produced 100 and some years ago due to EPA specifications.
Yeah.
They don't allow paint to be made the same way anymore, so you'd never get it perfect. So the intent is to match with the new metal that was installed a couple of years.
You could throw some lead in it.
Yeah, all kinds of fun stuff, I'm sure, yeah.
Some of the original metals, it's half gone. You can't tell from the street, but it's pretty bad.
Oh, I'm sure.
The challenge with having anything other than copper or aluminum is that if you don't keep it painted every few years, then you have the risk of rust, and so putting it back the way it is now, that is going to continue to be an issue where there's going to have to be, whoever's managing that building is going to have some sort of notation and budgeted amount for every so often, those pieces will need to have the paint
I think
reapplied to prevent.
all the new metal we had broken on that south section was all galvanized.
Right.
It was all galvanized steel that we had broken to make the shapes that were put on that
Match the south
Galvanized
section.
still rusts after a certain amount, like everything has an age, just longer.
Right, I think stainless would be the only thing that would not rust, but yeah, galvanized, even the zinc coated. if-
Powder coat.
you can elastomerically coat the paint on the baking process pre-done.
Which lasts for a long time.
It
and-
gets out of my area of
Yeah, I
expertise, to
know,
tell you the
yeah.
truth, but I know they do that with aluminum. You'll find that commonly on gutters, on homes and so forth. I don't know if they'll do it on the steel, if it's the same process, if the steel takes it the same way the
Yeah,
aluminum does.
they do.
Okay.
It's electrically, you put electric through that piece of metal, and then when you spray the powder, it adheres to it, and then you bake it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it,
And yeah, that will last a considerable amount of time. It'll just have to be
because,
monitored.
because the cost for the county or whoever owns that building will be a lot higher if somebody has to get up there with cranes or scaffolding to take care of this in 25 years. And if you pay a little bit more now, right, you're all for that, I'm sure.
Yeah,
As
obviously.
long as they.
The less intrusive we are to anywhere on
Right.
that exterior, the better it is for the longevity of the architecture
Right.
itself, absolutely.
Just to be clear, I don't think you're providing the specialty metals, are you? Or are you also providing metals for this?
My company is not actually manufacturing the metal, that's being outsourced to Chicago Metal. The intention was that,
We're matching the look of
we,
that.
right, we would remove, small, sample pieces from each of the different sections, send them to them with the, particular measurements and volume of metal that we need to have in order to replace everything, and then they would produce it and then send it back to us, that's right.
And the materials we were green lighted to use either aluminum, copper,
There's 3 or 4 actually in the specs, depending on which element of the roof you're looking at. The dormer valleys, the interior of the built-in gutters, the copings at the top where the slate meets the flat roof, and then the actual finials themselves. So yeah, the spec book had various delineations for what each metal should be on each spot. I don't know if it's something where they're doing that simply to try and maintain the highest amount of historical integrity, or if it might be worth considering, well, if you did it all in the same kind of metal with the same kind of paint process applied at the same time, your lifespan, your life expectancy out of each would then become equivalent, so that you don't have parts of the building potentially decaying in the future sooner or later than other parts. It's really not I didn't have the intent of bringing that up or arguing it, but it's something to consider when you look at the specifications and you see that there's several different kinds of metal that are all supposed to be incorporated into this roof. Is that the sensible thing to do? Was that done as an architectural standard of the time, or was it just sort of like the guy in charge of this part of it used this kind of metal, and the guy in charge of a different part of it used a different kind of metal?
A lot of the metals up there are original and they're different.
Yeah, that's
So
the
I
thing.
think we were trying to match.
Trying to
as close as possible.
keep it as historically accurate, even though if you built it today, you might not
No, probably not.
make those
Maybe
same.
use fiberglass, to be honest with you.
Well, and it's not really a matter of looking at, oh, is there something cheaper, or is there something easier, more pliable, easier to work with or deal with, as much as it is just would it make more sense for the building to have consistency throughout, rather than sort of putting different metals in different places based on what they were doing at the moment. And I can't speak to it, I wasn't here when they built it, and neither were you, and so, yeah, you're right, as far as we're concerned, our job is to put it back the way it was when it was built, and if that means using different metals in different spots, that's what we'll do, so.
Anything else?
That's it for me. Anything else do you guys want to have a closer look at the slates, or are those materials?
I'm wearing gloves. Occasionally, there are edges that they don't look visibly sharp, but we don't ever take a chance. But just so that you'll see that, this is a natural slate. It does have marking. Because slate is natural, there are very minute variances in both the thicknesses, the shadings, but the type of slate will be the same consistently throughout. The cut and shape will be the same consistently throughout.
Great, looks good.
And it's a very beautiful slate. It's, like I say, it's some of the finest produced in the company, or in the country.
Now, is that coming from Virginia?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yep, the James River Company in Virginia, they are either owned or managed by, Vermont Structural is who we're dealing with. They're our dealer, but they, I believe, either represent or manage or even own the James River Company. The original Virginia Buckingham Slate Company, they were taken over, I didn't know this until very recently, but they were taken over in recent years, and they changed their model. Their quarry, the original Buckingham quarry, they no longer produce roofing slate. They only now produce, I believe, what would be flooring slate or some other kind of building slate. But the James River Company, which mines in the same mountain range in the same county, it's the same slate, it's the same stone, and they are the only quarry right now that we know of that produces this in the country. So, and luckily they were willing to produce it. So
Well, great.
we're able to get it for you.
All right, well, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For the record, as Eric knows, and so does Mr. Manfus, you can't even imagine the cost of this. And I'm just happy that the county has that building. I shudder to think of if somebody else was in charge of that didn't have the money to make that building the way it is. So I think they're doing a good job. And I'm so happy that they are the caretaker for that building. What is? You think that it's number one? That would be between the Etna House and there probably those two buildings, right?
No, River Block 1's number 1.
Yeah, wouldn't.
Certainly more monumental.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Certainly, but.
But age, the other one I think is older, but yeah, it maybe. But I'm just glad that it's in their care.
Well, and I think Mike said it best. He's not trying to slip it. No one was trying to slip this past anybody, you know, and we're trying to match as exactly as we can. So, thanks for, if that's all, thanks for your time and
Thank you.
Thank you.
appreciate
Thank
the best
you.
meeting you ever.
Thanks, Cliff, for your comment. Next item is the prospectus draft document. And where's Bob when I need him? Where's Bob?
Relaxing in West Virginia,
He's in West Virginia?
down at his cabin in West Virginia.
Yeah.
No phone, no food, no pets.
That living. Something I noticed, and I don't know, is on page 5, when it talks about, do I need certification approval? And it lists some things that say maybe, yes, and no.
Second item on the list,
No. There's no reference to mechanical units. I mean, wouldn't that, I know it says you got roofing, but should there be a specific wording or adding something to one of these categories at location of mechanical roofing units?
we could add that.
I mean, if it makes sense to everybody.
I would think that would be a comment we could put in and have them add. I tagged this page because the second item, paint my previously painted building a different color. We've not always required painting to be part of design review. As much as we kind of wanted to, I'm not sure that we did. So I don't know whether that belongs in there or doesn't belong in there. We've had discussions both ways about whether people can paint their house the color of their choosing or whether we have input in the color of the paint they put on their house or building.
Is a building, excuse me, is there a building permit required to paint your house?
I don't believe so, no.
No.
The only way a building permit would come in is if you were physically changing trim, doing carpentry work or something of that nature. But again, that gets into if you're just doing maintenance on a board here and a board there, do you need a permit? No.
I think that painting should be right where it is.
Cliff, you want to comment on painting?
No.
Ted, which page on which attachment are you on?
Page 5, number 1. Main one.
Approvals required before work. 5th page in. Right there.
That's,
By no comment, does it stay or does it go?
that's my page 7.
I don't think we've had a say as to what they actually painted. We just try to recommend certain things and hope they'll come before us.
In the past, we went to Sherwin-Williams and some other paint companies and brought back samples of historical colors that we would recommend to people that might look good on their property. But since we have no real say over paint, you really can't. Give them something to work with, what color that would look good there, and make them make their choice. You can't, I just don't think that you can do anything.
Well, I thought, I painted the trim on the Hamilton building a couple years ago and was told if it was the Sherwin-Williams or like kind of their historic.
You have a historic line.
Yeah,
that
and just
I still have it
to
in
pick
here,
a
I'm
color,
sure.
and we just picked a gray out of the historic line, and but I don't
Do
remember.
do we want to have that type of a comment put in here?
I think there should be something so you don't end up with a.
I mean, the way it's written now,
The
when it
Carriage
says
House
paint my
Creamery
previously
that's-
painted building a different color, that will now become part of our charge.
I think there should be something so you don't
If
end up with
it's- if
fluorescent
it's-
paints and.
Right now, it's in here. If this were adopted, we would have the say over painting of a previously painted building. So
Now
if,
that's changing color though, correct?
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, you can repaint the same color,
Okay.
but if you want to change the color, then the change of color would come before us.
I think that's a very important thing.
I agree.
For example, the old school administration building, they painted it red that I've never seen before.
We did approve that, but it was a brick red and.
We approved this.
They brought to us, I think if you look back, and they used out of a historic palette, and what are you gonna do?
Well,
I don't know whether that was out of historic palette or not.
Yeah, we did
I mean,
agree, 'cause-
What we approved was this. We approved the 2x2 and
Because they were doing so much brickwork, they wanted to paint it to match, or I
we
forget
all
what it
know
was.
that a
and
2x2 and a 20x20 foot
Yeah.
aren't the same colors.
That's red.
It was red. I mean, when we looked at it, it was red and we said, okay, we like red. Well, the red that went up there would not be our first choice or second or third, but
I think it's beautiful. I like red barns. I like red colors. I like bright colors. People travel all over the world to some places in Europe, along the Italian coast especially, with colors that are beautiful, and I think that the chances of somebody coming in and putting fluorescent orange on a building is pretty low, and although it did happen on Highland Avenue.
Carriage House painted they painted the brickwork on their building fluorescent colors.
yeah.
That's true. But at what point, since, just like on your building, we have a mural, and you can paint it any color you want. Now, let me finish.
I'm letting you.
Okay, and then other murals that are on there, because that's art, and that's free speech. Second Amendment stuff that we don't want to get involved. How far, and is there a fine line between those things?
To my building, that was allowed because someone previously had painted that brick. That was the only reason that was allowed to be painted, because it wasn't raw brick.
Right. Well, we're not talking about, I don't think we're talking about painting of brick, although there's thoughts that you're not supposed to because it seals moisture in and can cause deterioration. But I think more than anything, we were talking about color, weren't we? That,
Well, you brought the mural up, so that's what I was.
yeah, but like I said,
Yeah.
well, color, we were talking about red, the red building and, you know, colors again. I've heard people say they love the color red. I've heard other people say it's too bright. So isn't that the way life is? Some people like this and some people like that.
Gotta find a compromise.
Okay, so why couldn't we take that first item and the second item and have an arrow go to maybe, instead of have that down to yes with the block that goes, combines them all? So maybe contact city staff.
What does maybe mean?
They gotta contact the city. Maybe we'll say yes, maybe we'll say no. But we want to.
Then it makes it arbitrary. Then it makes it arbitrary. I don't want it to be arbitrary.
Yeah.
Well, it has been. I mean, we haven't said, yes, you definitely can't paint it orange or something like that.
Well, we approved that red color. And the problem is, we didn't approve a sample that we could tell what it was.
Yeah, but I'm talking about all colors with all
Normally,
for houses,
normally
everything.
if we're doing something and we put a spec out, they paint a 5x5 and we get
Right.
to look at a 5x5 and say, okay, we like that, go ahead and finish painting. Not paint the whole house and then go, oh. That was to be brick red and you might find a brick that's that red, but I doubt it. That's not a clay color. That's a paint color, not a brick color.
Are we gonna go through this whole packet?
Yeah, this needs to be a whole different if we're gonna go.
Yeah. Everybody should have a written copy so they can,
That's why I sent it out to you guys, because we've gotta get this so we can get back to ship out.
oh, okay, good point.
I'm not trying to be-
Okay,
I'm not trying to
well,
be
I'm prepared to go
nasty.
through the whole packet, but Cliff doesn't have a packet to read.
I got it in the mail.
Okay.
It's not going to make any difference what I say amongst you people anyway, and the real argument of changes will be once this gets to council, and that's when I'll get involved.
I don't know what that means, but.
I understand what you said.
Council has to prove it all,
Yeah, council has to still ultimately approve it.
so
Is there other things you want to go through? I mean,
Well, page by page, I think. I don't know.
well, I know, but
I don't know, on page 6 and 7, it shows the buildings that are on the historical register. But on page 7, there's a red dot right in the middle of the intersection of Freedom and Main. I don't know what that means.
National Historic Register, because of the red dot above, I think. The little
is
block.
it the flagpole?
No, the flagpole is shown on the 1B. The buildings and the flagpole are shown on page 6, and then the key is on page 7. I don't think you need page 7, but the key needs to go on page 6.
Okay, that's just a key.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm all right with that.
Why there's a dot at the intersection of,
Freedom and Main.
oh, that's the south half, the east half, that's why.
Oh, that's the end of our,
Yeah, that's down to
Linden's the
Linden.
end. Linden's the end of the
Page
historic.
7 picks it up at Elm and goes
Takes it
to Linden.
Linden.
okay, whatever.
So the page 6 is, or page 6 is the west half and page 7 is the east half.
Got it. So page number 9, we're putting, this document has 14 days to the period of gestation on application and us required to respond. And I think it should be 30. Because if they came in tomorrow, when our next meeting is a month from now, with this document, we'd have to have an interim meeting to approve it, otherwise, like 14 days doesn't work. I don't believe. Page 9, the
Well,
third,
what does it say now?
it says 14, oh, you mean in our existing?
Yeah.
I didn't check that. I thought we were 30 days. There's been controversy on that within us before of us holding people up, but 14 days would require another meeting, and I don't think we want to do that.
That was one of the changes you guys approved.
The 14th?
No. It's 14, it has to be a meeting within 2 weeks. But, you guys changed it and approved it to once a month.
Yeah, okay, well then we want to
But-
change this document to reflect that once a month then. That's page 9, third highlight down.
Well, in the, when does an application have to come in prior to the meeting? 10 days?
Yes.
Is that what it's supposed to be?
That would be 2 weeks, business days.
But that would only be 24 days. We still couldn't make it.
No, I'm saying, is the 14-day review period a minimum? Which means they have to turn it in 14 days before the next meeting?
No, there was verbiage that if, we have to do it within 14 days. Here, on page 8, the second paragraph down,
Right here.
the DRC has 14 business days, business.
Where is it? I just seen it.
The second paragraph on the left,
The DS, right there.
day review period after filing to approve or reject. I think that's not right. I think we want to have 30 days in there.
Was that time from someone's denial to them then coming back with a correction?
That's just period.
No, that's the period, the review period.
Okay. I'm looking at the map because my page numbers aren't the same as yours, so I can't, I have trouble following where you are.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's not you.
See, 14 business days is 3 weeks.
Well, okay, well, it didn't, that parentheses business isn't consistent through these documents. Some of it just says 14 days.
Right. Yeah, on the chart, it says 14 days. In the written portion, the
Right.
paragraph before, it says 14 business days.
Yeah, right. That's a big difference. And then with the,
I think what we want is, rather than saying 14-day review, is that they have to submit prior to 10 days before the next scheduled meeting.
okay,
That gives us a minimum of 10 days to review. If they submit it 3 days after, if someone walks in on Monday and submits something, it will come up on the July meeting.
yes.
But to make the July meeting on the 11th, they have to submit by the 1st. So we have a minimum of 10 days to review prior to the meeting.
Okay, that
I
covers
think
the loophole.
making the submission date and not forcing us, if somebody comes in 3 days, that we have to have another meeting in
That
2
would-
weeks to meet the 14 days.
Yeah, that's,
I think we want to change the wording that submissions must come prior to 10 days before the next scheduled meeting.
and Julie, make that consistent throughout the document. I think that makes sense to me.
I agree with that.
On page 10, I think there's a typo on the demolition thing, paragraph there. It says something about towards the middle. Architecture fees should produce a trend. I think they mean trend.
Where are you at?
Do you get it?
No, I don't. What page are you on?
On page 10,
Okay.
under relocation, under demolition, I'm sorry,
Oh, okay.
towards the 3/4 of the way down, over halfway, it
I
says,
think it's the last word in the 6th sentence.
yeah.
No, that's tend,
Or tend to produce.
to produce or tend to produce,
Okay,
or is it intend?
well, I don't know what I'm not familiar with using the word tend. Maybe our school teacher could tell us.
To produce or intend to produce. Maybe
Yeah.
it's tend, I don't know. I would use intend.
I would too, something other than tend, I don't know. But I'm not familiar with that use of that word. if it is a word.
Well, I'm sure it is.
I'll make notation.
So then, on the same page, to the far left, the bottom paragraph is about renovations. Okay, and it goes on to say about that, require DRC review and a COA, which is a certificate of approval. Elevations, floor plans may be required, and conceptual drawings often will be submitted for DRC review before approval. Construction drawings may be required for final approval. Well, I think we have approved pictures, and pictures with changes submitted on those pictures. I think we should allow that. As sometimes the pictures are even better than the drawings because they show some of the details that are often not put on drawings. So I would add on there possibly pictures.
Construction drawings and/or photographs?
Yeah, photographs. Original photographs and photographs showing, adapted to show the changes they're presenting.
If they want to match a detail that's on another building, a photograph of what they intend to do is
good.
better than a 2D drawing.
Right. So I think that should be adjusted. And then there's a lot of language, page 11, the whole the right side of the page is written in some language that I'm not familiar with.
No, the whole rest of the documents.
As are the next 5
All
pages.
through the documents. We need that to be written in English.
Yes, somebody hit the translate button on their computer and turned it all into gibberish.
And it goes on and on throughout there.
Yeah, next 5 pages.
So we can't really say we have reviewed these because we don't know, we can't read them all.
Well, I think Bob had sent them an email in regards to this being language that,
Yeah, right.
who's gonna understand it?
Yeah, okay. So there are many pages throughout the document that are written in some foreign language. And so this has got to be just a preliminary review of these documents because we haven't been able to digest them all. And so we have 11 of these things to go through. Is that what we want to do? I guess it is. I mean, to a certain extent, we can't read everything, but I personally went through them. I have notes written. I'd be glad to discuss those.
I'm okay.
I don't have time.
You don't have time?
Not today, which is fine. You guys can.
No, we, that's what I'm thinking. We should get them all in English and we should set up
Do you want me to set a meeting for 2
Yeah.
weeks? Wait a minute,
What do you think of that, Larry?
it's the 27th. 2 weeks? I can set up a meeting if everybody wants for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think,
If
And
we're
then
gonna
everybody
do
could-
that and nothing else.
Yeah.
We
I
wasted
think
the
we need
first
to review
45,
that.
not wasted the first 45 minutes going over
Yeah,
regular
then everybody
business.
could have input on these and,
Okay, no, that's fine.
So it'd be June 27th.
I'm busy.
Gosh darn it, Eric.
I just happen to be busy that day. Possibly, maybe not. I'm on a union negotiation board.
That takes precedence.
Well, I'll schedule it for June 27th then.
Good.
Everybody's good with that?
I mean, are we good another day other than Thursday?
I was gonna say, it don't matter to me.
The day before, I don't have a problem.
26th.
Wednesday, the 26th. Somebody else have it?
No, I can do it any morning.
Yeah, I won't be here.
Is your
I'm gonna be out of state.
negotiations just that Thursday? Or is it all week?
No. It starts on Monday. Let's hope not.
So Wednesday's not a good day then.
No, that'd be fine. If it goes that far, we're gonna have to have
Or
a
would it be a
recess.
problem next week? Or, you know, I mean,
I would be
You
better
guys
for
tell me.
Next week's fine with me.
Next
Week's okay with
Thursday?
me.
Are we gonna set up a time?
It's the only day I know that I'm,
How long
How about next Wednesday?
17th.
Next
How about
Thursday?
next Wednesday? Next Thursday, I mean.
That's fine.
So that would be the
That's the
20th.
20th.
At 10 o'clock again.
I can't make it that day.
You can't make it
I
that
have a
day.
doctor appointment that day.
Well,
19th?
I can't do the 19th. I'm going to Indiana.
So the 21st wasn't a good day? Is everybody
that a
saying?
Friday?
That's a
That's
Friday.
Friday. I don't know, it's up
I don't have a problem.
I can make that work.
Friday.
to the 21st?
21st?
Yeah.
10
What
o'clock.
time?
Same time.
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
So you're gonna, Julie, you're gonna talk to the architect, the prospectus architect and get that redone.
Yeah, I'm gonna email them as soon as.
And then get it
Like
out
I
to us.
said, Bob mentioned it to him and says, you know, hey, this is in a different language, and I still have yet to get the correction, you know? So,
Pretty cool.
I have a suggestion. I don't know why they never mentioned Greek Revival architecture on anything. They call Gothic Revival, which is not the same, as far as I know. And
Okay.
there's no examples of Greek Revival. I think Sugar Maple Inn might be one, that's in a historic district. There's not too many houses in Portage County that are Greek Revival, but Gothic's about the same.
You can ask him that.
I just think it ought to be included.
well, that can be, I see it here. Are there buildings with Gothic, you know?
I'm sorry, what?
Are there buildings or whatever,
Well, that's why I
properties?
mentioned Sugar Maple Inn is
Okay,
in that area. And I think that is close, as any I can think of, that would be close to Greek Revival. Now, Gothic is even different, as far as my understanding.
all right.
Like my house where I grew up, which is 161 North Chestnut Street, where the Cellos is Greek Revival. And the house that I own is Greek Revival
Okay,
on Riddle,
right.
South Prospect.
Now it's White House Tavern.
Yes, I know, but
Not
at least it's going to open.
not the White House Tavern, just White House
But
Tavern.
it's going to open for something.
Monday, I think.
Monday? I didn't
I
think
think
so.
she said the 17th is what they were targeting.
They don't have the license yet.
No, they
We're all
did-
set with this?
Sure.
Any comments from the public? I didn't forget you, Larry.
Thank you, Lou. Larry Selenius, 123 North Walnut Street. Just, you people brought up paint.
Talking, I can't hear you.
No,
It's on.
We can't hear.
We
yeah.
just can't,
We can't hear
Amen.
it over here.
there you go. There you go.
Us people what?
Can hear you now.
You brought up paint. We don't have any rules on murals or paint at the moment. I just hope you'll decide to leave it alone like it is. It hasn't been a problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think painting murals and painting buildings are two different things. I agree. Painting a mural is art. That's someone's interpretation of whatever they want to paint. Painting a building is not the same as painting a mural. And we agreed, we don't have any say over the murals. The murals are murals, but a building's a building. Buildings we do, so we have not done much with paint color, but that's not to say that we can't do paint color. We just have chosen in the past not to do it.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the
moved.
motion.
Second. Well done, Lou.
He could keep talking.
Vote.
Oh. All in favor?
Aye.
Certainly.
Hey, how's your finger?
Well, I played last night, but
I'll see you tomorrow, Donnie.
Okay.
I wound up taking all my Band-Aids off in the midst of playing. And I'm not sure it's fully healed enough to take the stitches out tomorrow or not. We'll see. I gnashed my finger. I was trying to change
And you
the
got
tire.
bandages on it today. What were you doing?
Well, this I ran into something last night. That's my lawnmower. This one back here was from my dermatologist.
You got a few more places to even
Finger
it all
right
out.
there, pulled open, I got 8 stitches in there.
Oh, man. Right finger.
I'm left-handed.
I'm half tempted to type this stuff up or see if I can get this in a Word document from them